So one of the requirements of the Capital Markets Authority in the process of doing an IPO is that you have to get a no objection letter from the primary regulator of the issuer being the company that's coming to IPO or to do an IPO. And so the only interaction was with Kenya Pipeline Company requesting EPRA for a no objection to proceed with this process. Yeah.
Welcome back. I hope you're enjoying the journey so far. This is a CTA Masterclass on IPOs. Okay, we've understood who's seated here. We've understood what an IPO is. And thank you, even in the process, you brought in this whole thing called Nairobi Securities Exchange. And now we even understand the destination of where this IPO is going to. My question then now comes to, who is this guy? And in the back, we've got beautiful pipelines. So who is Kenya Pipeline Company? Okay. Or is it corporation?
Yeah. So it's now going to be, or is already, Kenya Pipeline Company PLC, because it has had to change its name and its status from being a private company to a public company.
So PLC stands for what?
Public Limited Company.
So anytime somebody says PLC, it is Public Limited Company.
Yes. You have to, it's the first requirement for listing. You have to be a public company.
That's why Safaricom is now called Safaricom PLC.
Right. So they're in the business of transporting and storing oil or fuel. Fuel. Let me call it fuel. So that's what they do. They are not an energy business per se. They don't produce energy. They facilitate. They are a logistics company in the energy space. So they provide transportation of fuel from Mombasa once it has been imported to various destinations such as Eldoret and so on. Yeah? So there's a whole pipeline network in Kenya that's about 1,342 kilometers that it transports oil through.
That about was a bit precise.
It was very precise. Okay. I used about in case I'm not right to the...
By 2 centimeters.
So that's what they do. And so they work with importers of oil who are the oil marketers. And they also distribute to the oil marketers. They're what we call in the midstream section of the oil market. So you have the upstream. Those are the guys who now mine and explore and, you know. Then you have midstream, which is where they sit. And then we have downstream, who are the oil marketers. Now your Total, Rubis, Shell, those guys.
Yeah.
So it plays in that middle segment of just transporting and storing on their behalf.
This is brilliant. These guys, you know, when you hear that do they sit under the Ministry of Energy?
So prior to this process that we are now undergoing, they are regulated by EPRA.
And EPRA is?
Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority.
Okay.
Yes. So they are under the Ministry of Energy, yes. But EPRA is their regulator. And EPRA then now regulates how they operate, regulates even the tariffs, and how much then, you know, is the cost of transporting this oil.
Okay. I want to layman this because, you know, when we hear Kenya Pipeline and government, and energy, how our minds may put what they do is very different from how you're explaining it. They are logistics. They are more efficient than many trucks transporting this. They're more efficient than the SGR transporting this. But in real talk, their competitor would be SGR.
Well, I suppose
you know what I mean? Because they're in the logistics and transportation business. Basically, how do I move this oil from Mombasa to wherever it is? Where I don't know if it's, I don't know.
Say Eldoret. Or Kisumu.
And you also said they're in storage. So once they move it, they store it before the person who's downstream comes and picks it, the Totals and the rest. I'm asking.
It's correct.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Okay. Do they do anything else?
That's a great question. So the answer
Because I mean, that sounds like they're in transportation business. That's it. I'm waiting for, Ayani had
at
given
the
you
moment,
20
that's
minutes
like
to explain.
98% of their business.
So how they have been operating and making profits over all losses, I'm not sure, I'll come to that question, is what Kenya Pipeline does is transportation of oil.
And storage, yes. However, they are going into LPG, which is the gas, and fiber optics, meaning they will lay fiber optic cables to then supply, what are they called? USBs?
Yes, the data,
Those cables, yes. They are also currently doing, this is not coming, but they are doing crude oil handling. So for those who don't know, we produce oil as a country.
Turkana?
In Turkana. So when that Turkana oil is produced, it needs to be exported to be refined. We don't have a refinery in Kenya. So it is then transported to Mombasa, and then there's a crude oil handling process, which then now they do as through KPRL, and then that's then exported. KPRL is another company that is 100% owned by Kenya Pipeline.
And KPRL are in the handling of this crude oil.
Yes.
So, this is, to demystify this has been a one-way system for a long time. It was from Mombasa out. It was not previously from out to Mombasa. Are you understanding what I'm saying? It was once it is imported, getting the imported oil to the different destinations within Kenya. And is it just within Kenya or also?
So the pipeline is within Kenya.
Okay.
But our pipeline is not only used by Kenyans. Actually, Kenya only forms 48% of the market. We export 52% of the oil that goes through, or the fuel that goes through the pipeline to Uganda, Rwanda, South Sudan, and Eastern DRC.
Wow.
Yeah.
So these landlocked countries, that's what a lot of them are.
Exactly.
These landlocked countries don't have a port and therefore don't have access to this oil, and they're currently not value adding onto what they are producing.
Right.
It's like what we're doing in Turkana. And it comes back to the question that I was saying. Currently, it's been a one-way system, or at least for many years, it was a one-way system where we get the oil coming in from, is it Saudi Arabia or wherever, it comes in, and then it now goes. But what I've heard you say is that there's a different thing that KPC also do. And I want you to repeat that one again. Where it is from Turkana, it's now sending it out.
Crude oil handling. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that you think is worth us understanding when it comes to KPC and what they do?
I think one of the things that I've found as we've had conversations with potential investors is just a lack of understanding of how profitable and the potential that then this company has. So for example, in 2025 June, their revenues were 38.5 billion. Their profit before tax was 12 billion shillings. And their margins are healthy. So I think then there's just a lot, because it's government owned, you assume it's poorly run, you assume they're not professional and things like that. I mean, it's been really interesting just sort of getting to understand even the safety. ESG is seriously taken. You go to the environmental, social, and governance practices. You go to their different locations, their depots. You go to Mombasa, you go to all the different depots that they have. You realize how they take safety seriously. Every employee knows exactly what needs to do, whether there's drills that need to be done, whether there's safety things that need to be done, hats that need to be on. Like, they're very professional in how they run. The only thing that is a challenge for KPC, in my personal view, is the fact that it's government owned. Because that comes with a lot of red tape, or what we call bureaucracy. So to get approvals through the budgeting process, there's this Public Procurement Act and all these different acts that govern how finances are spent and budgeted for and all of that. That whole process, by the time they come up with a strategy and an idea to execute on something, it's a whole year before even any funds have been released. It's like, okay, we never mind, we are fine. And so things don't move. So I don't even know if I can share this, but if I get into trouble, it's fine. So they began discussions on LPG, that's liquefied petroleum gas, and how they can then get involved in that ecosystem in 2017. But it's been, the process of getting approvals and things, it just takes long.
Yeah, because it's government.
If you're a private institution, it's just board approval, funds provided. If you're raising capital, done. In a year, 2 years, 3 years, you built your infrastructure and you're good to go. But for a government institution, it's not like that. So we're in 2025. You see? Now is when they're saying, okay, we are about to begin. We are now getting ready. And so these are some of the things that will be very interesting a few years from now. Once they are privatized, that's going to move a lot faster. Fiber optic cables, the LPG, the crude oil handling, those are the areas that will expand. And the goal is to actually reduce the reliance on revenue from only the pipeline business transporting oil to from the 95 to 98% to 70, let me say 80% in the short term.
Wow, okay, in the short term. Okay, we're going to come into that. We're going to demystify the process that you took now in the role that you sit. But I still want us to talk about this company because this sounds like a monopoly.
It is.
This sounds like not just a monopoly, but like it will be a monopoly for a while because of the infrastructure needed to lay, for example, pipelines.
Yeah.
And I ask this because of comparisons that I have seen different people make when it comes to comparing this company with this company. And we'll talk about the valuations. But I want us to understand, this sounds like it's going to be a monopoly for a while in terms of at least transportation of oil.
Yes, it is a regional monopoly. So first of all, we are transporting oil that is already refined and ready for use. Whether that's jet fuel, whether we're talking about diesel, whether we're talking about super or kerosene, right? It's ready for use. I know there's a lot of people who said, oh, but now Uganda is producing oil, blah, blah, blah. There's this pipeline that has been built. It's going to, I forget the name, but it's going to, through Tanzania and all of that. That's all great, but what is happening is that they're moving oil from Uganda out through Dar es Salaam for refining. They will still need the refined oil to go to Uganda to meet its needs. And that's where Kenya Pipeline comes in. They will still need Kenya Pipeline. The region still needs Kenya Pipeline, including Rwanda and South Sudan.
So in terms of competition, I know I'm calling it a monopoly, but honestly, then who would come in comparison when it comes to competition? So I'm trying to see the longevity of this company.
Yeah, the longevity. So, okay, so let's say, and they are saying it has been said that a refinery is going to be built in Uganda. So the financing of that will need to happen. I guess they have to decide the viability of that project, but I have heard it said that 2030 is when a refinery should be completed. I don't know, this is what I've heard said, in 2030 in Uganda. Now, once that refinery is built, then they can refine their own oil. And they'll be able to, I think currently they're producing more than enough crude oil for their own consumption. So in the distant future, that would be the competition that may come. I'm also told that the oil, the kind of oil that is produced in Uganda is a heavy kind of oil. I'm probably not using the right technical term, that needs even heated pipelines to transport. And that process of building those heated type pipelines is now what's ongoing. They've been funded and all of that. And that's what's ongoing right now, to be able to export that oil then for refining. So the process of the refinery will take some time. So there's arguments around, is it 2030, is it beyond 2030? We don't know. But in the meantime, what can Kenya Pipeline do? We know, or rather the company knows that this is coming. And so how can we diversify sources of revenue so that then we're not only relying on the pipeline? Now, there's more countries than just Uganda that we're supporting. And so it's how can we then use the pipeline to do more than just the transportation of fuel, such as the fiber optic cables, such as the LPG, which is, by the way, a very interesting market as well.
Okay.
Somebody else has also said, what about EV, electric vehicles? That's another risk, right? What if Kenya starts using EV or becomes like Ethiopia? And Ethiopia, what Ethiopia has done is basically said, we're going to charge, I think it's half duty or even less than half duty for electric vehicles. And, it's basically if you can get an electric vehicle in Ethiopia, you're so much better from a cost perspective for the cost of the vehicle, but also from a running perspective. And so Ethiopia is doing this shift from fuel powered cars to EV powered vehicles. Now, will Kenya get there? It will, but it's going to be a long time before we're able to get there. I think the infrastructure around EV is still a long way away.
Yeah.
And I'm sure by that time, this infrastructure that has been built will be used for other things.
Okay. And you talked about EPRA. What's their role? What do they do? Who are they in terms of a regulation body? In terms of I want to get a better understanding of what they do in regards to Kenya Pipeline Company.
So EPRA is the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. So EPRA basically governs the whole process around distribution, not manufacturing, but what's that word? I have it here. The generation of electricity, importation of petroleum, distribution, storage, and everything, and all the activities around energy and petroleum. So even including setting, reviewing of tariffs for electricity and also petroleum. So, I mean, every so often you will hear in the news that EPRA has now reviewed the pump prices. Right? Now the pump prices are now, so they are the ones who set those prices for petroleum and for electricity.
Okay.
But beyond that, they have to make sure that these companies, such as Kenyan, Kenya Power, Kenya Pipeline, are operating within the right standards. Okay, so there's all these regulations around how they should operate, and they're the regulator that then ensures, even including safety standards and things like that, that they do it in the right way.
Okay. The same way investment companies are regulated by Capital Markets Authority, they are that for the energy space.
Exactly.
Okay. Did you, in this time, work with them at any point? Did you have to interact with them or engage with them?
So one of the requirements of the Capital Markets Authority in the process of doing an IPO is that you have to get a no objection letter from the primary regulator of the issuer being the company that's coming to IPO or to do an IPO. And so the only interaction was with Kenya Pipeline Company requesting EPRA for a no objection to proceed with this process. Yeah.
They couldn't just IPO without this approval.
No.
Okay. The aim of this video was for you to get an understanding of Kenya Pipeline Company PLC, as we now know they're called, changing the name. So I hope that has been demystified. I hope that's become clear. I hope you understand the amount of logistical work they do, even though they fall under the Ministry of Mining. I think they should somehow also Ministry of Energy.
Yeah.
Under the Ministry of Energy, correct me. I think they should also be added into the Ministry of Transport by the sound, by what I'm hearing, they also do.
Yeah.
Okay. The core of this video was for that. We're going to come back with another episode, and in that conversation, we're now going to be hearing about the process. Remember, this class in session is about, it's a CTA masterclass on IPOs. So now we're actually going to get into then what was the process of IPOing? How did you get the valuation? What is EBIT? What is all these other jargon and words that I'm hearing? PEV, PE, ratio. In English, Rina, in English. We'll be back. Share this video with every single person. Again, I'll say, not just different age groups, below 18, all across the world. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back in a bit.